Hi, Tony.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Good
Yeah.
morning from
Oh, wait.
Singapore.
Oh, my
And
place is a mess. Sorry.
oops,
Oops.
Don't
oops.
do these often enough.
Now we're not going to cut this out from the video.
You're getting the real thing.
Yeah, we want the real thing, Tony.
And
Good
there's
morning from Asia.
in my blind, there's you can see there's like
Yeah.
a light.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta avoid.
Do you want to shift your position a bit? I think right now it's
I
just.
think right now
good.
it's okay, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's
good.
better than
Do you want to like brush your hair a little bit?
Oh yeah.
This
Thanks.
happens to me
I
all the
realized-
time too. We're getting the
you're,
real
you're
deal.
like a mom.
Okay,
Yeah,
then.
a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
it's good. You
How
look
are you all?
refreshing.
How are you all doing?
Fine.
Good.
Yeah, a
Very
very early morning.
good.
Very early morning from Asia. How are you doing, Tony?
Okay, I'm very good. It's 2 p.m. here. I went to exercise this morning. I had a karate session. I like martial arts, so and I was reading a little bit. It's a good day. And it's sunny, in Vancouver. And in the fall, it's rare sometimes, so it's blue skies.
Wow, nice. Have you eaten though?
I've eaten. I've eaten today. Yeah, it's 2 p.m. So I eat, so I've had a few meals already.
Yeah, because this is quite typical for especially Chinese, right? To ask whether somebody you meet has eaten, because food is meant as asking of somebody's well-being.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my
Well, yeah.
Chinese grandma always says, "Oh, you look too skinny."
Yes.
She always says, "Eat,
Eat more. Eat more.
more." Yeah, or whenever she cooks like really big portions, and of course, like we never finish it. She says, "Come on, you have to finish it. You have to finish it." So you have to go back eating like four plates.
Yeah.
Or
Okay,
bring
but
your Tupperware.
yeah, thank you so much for gracing our little Asian chit chat Zoom room.
Of course.
Yeah, it's such an honor to have you visit us. Yeah. So this is not really an interview session. I hope Raisha has preempted. It's more like a chat session. We will take this opportunity to also share with you our local cultures from our respective countries.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we will start off by one round of introduction so that, and also share with you our local cultures as well. Yeah, so I'll start. I'm Alicia from Singapore. Not sure whether you have visited this part of Asia before, but hope that
Not
you will.
yet.
Yes, hope that you will very soon. And today we would like to share with you something that is unique in terms of practices, values, and mannerisms in our local countries. So for Singapore, you'll see in our virtual background, right? So this, if you can see, it's a bit tiny. This is our typical hawker center or food court. So it's got a congregation of different food stores. You can see these are different food stores manned by individual food store owners offering their own specialties. Okay, so there are a variety of food in one location. And these places are public sitting places. So typically, you would think that you will go get your food from these individual stores first, right? Then with your food, find a place to sit. But not in Singapore. Don't ever do this in Singapore because you'll never find a place. So you'll see here, these two pictures. If you can look closely, what do you see on the table?
They look like, are they tissue bags or cutlery bags?
Yes, packet of tissues.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't be surprised if you visit Singapore and you walk into such hawker centers or coffee shops and you see tissue packets on the table. This means that this place is chope, which is spelled as CHOPE. So it's our Singapore English for reserved.
Okay.
So yeah, so we are used to using our personal items. It could be umbrella or tissue packets, sometimes even bags. After we take out our valuables like handphones and
Yeah.
wallet, we just leave our bags at the seat, and very often we come back and the bags are still there. So Singapore is quite safe. So
Okay.
we have this practice of chopping the seat on the table, because otherwise, you might not get a seat. So this is our chopping culture.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. So
Wow.
the
Yeah. That's
sorry, go.
amazing. Because I'm originally from France, and don't ever do that in France, like, or leaving bags in a food court. It'll be gone like so quick.
Yeah. Okay,
But
so
that's
only
amazing. That's very
only in
cool.
Singapore actually. Okay, so that's a little bit of nugget from Singapore. So I'll pass on to Sai right now. Yep.
Hi, Tony. I'm Mai or Sai. I'm originally from Japan. Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you
Thank you for
again.
joining us today. Thank you. So, do you remember this scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from episode 5 in season 3.
Yeah.
So we do this gesture a lot in Japan. So, for example, when you eat a meal, we'll make this gesture and say "itadakimasu" before start eating. And "itadakimasu," literal meaning of "itadakimasu" is to receive or take. But when you say this "itadakimasu" before you start eating meal, which means you are showing your appreciation toward animals, plants, farmers, cooks, or everything that goes into the meal. And people also say "gochisousama" when they finish, which means thank you for the meal. So you show that your respect toward them again. And also we do use this gesture to apologize, this one.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry, and so to show your sincere apology, but it's very, very informal way to say I'm sorry. So we only use this gesture when you apologize among your close friends or family. So don't use this gesture to apologize when you in an official occasion.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. I'm gonna pass on to Raisha.
Hello, Tony.
Hi, Ray.
My name is Raisha, and I'm from Indonesia. See you again. Well, this one from Indonesia is the weirdest thing that we do here, and please don't be grossed out by that. So, if you can see this one, this is a toilet roll.
This is
We
what?
usually toilet roll,
Okay.
toilet tissues.
Yeah.
So many street food vendor in Indonesia will place toilet roll in the table and use it as a kitchen tissues or even like facial tissues. So if you see that, if you
Yeah.
came to Indonesia and then saw this, just don't be grossed out by that.
Okay.
It's so weird. And then this is another trivia. Like this is the we call that warung makan, or like it is place to eat. We call that like Indonesian fast food. Like you can choose one and rice and then choose the side dish one by one as you like, and then get that Indonesian version of fast food. Okay. So
Cool.
that's from Indonesia, and then I will get you Matt.
Okay. Hi, Tony.
Hi,
I'm
Matt.
Mads from Philippines. So, okay, this first one is like, it's called mano po. So it's like this gesture. It's like, when you visit, an elderly or your parents, grandparents, you do this gesture. It's a sign of respect. So it's like it's a sign of respect. At the same time, you do this because you like to show the respect of being there. It's like uh you visit their house, and then you should show this sign of respect for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than that. And then the second one is like uh, it's a Filipino value of being hospitable, or being hospitable. So if ever you visit Philippines, I think you will be received with a warm welcome, and food. All the food will be presented to you. It's like you will be the king.
Mm.
You will be, yeah. So that's
Oh,
it.
yeah. Very cool. Very cool. It's really neat to get to hear about the different cultures and the different practices.
Okay, so after this, so we will now move on to the questions portion. There's
Yeah.
still I know that season 3 finale has aired, but we still have some questions that we wanted to ask about the show, and at the same time we'll ask some non-show questions, and just to find out more about, to know more about you.
Okay. You said what kind of questions?
Show questions about
Show questions,
Motherland,
yeah.
Fort Salem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll ask the first question. As a fan, I saw Adil as clearly a good guy right from the start. Trying to keep his sister leader in line as best as he could, and so as not to start a world war with the generals and so on. And we saw that in his love and support for Abigail as well. While the other Motherland Fort Salem characters each seems to have their own shades of grey morally. But to me, Adil is just a good guy right from the get-go. So what do you think is Adil's greatest flaw? And what kind of shadiness or edginess would you wish Adil had if you had a hand in the writing?
That's interesting that you'd say that for you he's all good, or not doesn't necessarily have shades of gray, because I actually find that internally he actually had a lot of shades of gray, or having to face a lot of his darkness, coming from a very pacifist culture, where there's no violence. And I kind of related that to maybe Buddhism, or a culture that really praises respect and empathy and compassion. And in Adil coming to Motherland Fort Salem, he actually had to give up a lot of those. And so I think in supporting Abigail, and at the beginning, during season 1 and season 2, there was still a resistance to joining in on the violence. But I think he had to cross a lot of his own moral boundaries. Of course, it's against the greater enemy of the Camarilla. But I think from Adil's perspective, the way that I saw it is, there is he comes from a place of oneness. And so to actually attack anybody is quite dark, or having to kill anybody is very, very dark. And so in season 2, when he first commits, he first kills someone, I think it leads to a lot of questions around his own darkness, and around his own moral code, and how to break that moral code. And so to lead into your second question around what do I think would be one of his flaws, I think it would be to act. I'd say that he because he didn't have a family, or he lost everything, he was bound to Abigail, and in that it creates a beautiful unity. But I also see that he was then very influenced. In third season, he's very much part of the unit, and he's lost part of himself. Part of his identity of being a pacifist, of sometimes maybe working through things diplomatically and trying to figure out a way where there's no violence. And I think I would say if he did it for love, but the flaw is that he loses himself a little bit.
Yeah.
So perhaps when you said, perhaps it would have been interesting also if he really held on to things having to be done as with the less violence as possible.
But would that even be possible given the scenario in season 3?
Exactly. Then it's such an extreme world. And I think that's
Yeah.
where the decisions came in, right? That sometimes you realize also the enemy will not listen to just talking or not violence, and you have to take decisions that are, like around violence.
Yeah.
But it's,
Yeah,
it's
but I
such
think
an debate.
but as a fan, Adil can do no wrong, just like Scylla to us. Yeah, she can do no wrong. It's like, oh, she has her reasons for killing thousands of people. Yes, it's all good. So, but Tony, I did see that darkness in Adil, trying to reconcile, the having to abandon his values, and so on. But the thing is, he never kind of manifest that into something destructive. So I think that's why it's perfect. It's
Oh,
perfect.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. It's
Yeah.
neat that it's, I think that's something that I myself as Tony, I try and practice on my own, in my own life as well, to no matter what I'm going through, no matter what difficulty or anger that comes up, to try and minimize the damage outside, in the real world. And try and deal with my own things as, where it doesn't hurt anybody, because I think so often it hurt then gets manifested into hurt or destruction, like you said. So neat that you see it that way about the character.
Okay, so so we move on to Sai's question now.
Okay, so Adil and Abigail came from very, very different place, but eventually they fell in love. So what do you think Adil likes the most of Abigail?
I think it is what he isn't. I think how assertive she is and how fearless she is. And that sometimes she doesn't think and she just goes. She's just, no, we have to take the enemy down. Let's just go and bulldoze through. And compared to, I think, Adil is, and I relate to that a lot as myself, is sometimes more, oh no, what is the safe way to do things? How do we figure this out in a way where it's the most strategic? And I think that's why also sometimes, people fall in love who are opposites, because they both have something that the other person doesn't have. So it's this expression of a part that you yearn for in another being. And I think that her or Abigail's just, strength of leadership, and dedication to follow through her choices, so assertive, that I think he doesn't have.
Which point do you think was the point that Adil actually fell for Abigail, you think, in season 1? Was it love at first sight? You think?
I'd say there was an aspect of that. I think when they first see each other, I think it was in the infirmary. I think there is something about when two people see each other and recognize one another for their situation. And I remember Abigail's situation, I think, was quite difficult in that whole episode, and when she lands in the infirmary, and so is Adil. And so I think, first off, when you see each other in that moment, there is kind of an intense connection. Then I think when in episode 7, which was the second episode, when she helps saving his sister, that's for him, his sister was kind of the only, one of the most important people in his life, and for someone to help with that, it's so reassuring and comforting, and I think proves a certain amount of trust that I think before, you know, when it's just infatuation or it's a connection that you can't explain, and then somebody does that for you, it's incredible. You know, it means the world.
Yeah, both of them are very good together. Like I said, I think they complement each other. So Abigail is the go type. And Adil is so calm, and I think he grounds her down. So I think they're just so good together. Yeah, perfect pairing. Okay, so we move on now to Raisha. Raisha, your question.
Continuing that discussion, how the opposite attracts. And you mentioned that that kind of gray area of Adil, that he is losing himself. But I think that is their way of finding a middle ground between Adil and Abigail. And then moreover, after being a fugitive, like they learn various point of view, like from the Dodgers, from the spree. And then, my question is like, what do you think the middle ground between Adil and Abigail? And because of their different principle, the military and pacifist, right? And then, how will Abigail meet you in the middle? You already mentioned that how Adil.
Well, I think it happens naturally in them becoming a team, and then them carrying out a lot of missions together, where her assertiveness helps with the momentum of getting a situation or getting something done. But then I think Adil, I think he's more around listening and absorbing things, which then softens the execution of a mission. Because I think if you have two people who are just go, no, let's just go after the goal and get it and then get out, then I think that, you know, you don't consider things as much. And then I think that's where it can be very effective, but then maybe you can hurt yourself or others in the process because you're not really thinking through things. And so I think Adil was, I think he was always the supporter in that sense, that allowed for things to be, you know, sometimes safer or sometimes to be more diplomatic or doing, you know, the right thing, when sometimes Abigail might have a more emotional response, you know, want to do something out of revenge. And as much as I think Adil felt that as well, it's wanting to always trying to question first, okay, why are we doing this, and let's take a second. And then also, you know, I think the fact that they exchanged powers helped a lot, you know, that she then learns how to be in the invisibility working. There's a lot of different ways that they can help each other at that level too.
But let's say in an argument, who do you think will win? Abigail and Adil.
There's no winning in arguments. There's only 2 point of views, you know? There's 2 points of views, and you got it. But that's true. No, like it's. I think. At least maybe I'm thinking a little more like Adil right now because we're talking about it. But always trying to find, you know, that it's 2 people have different perspectives, 2 different lives, 2 different experiences. And let's find a way to understand each other. But maybe from Abigail's perspective, it's like, no, it's about winning, you know, and I gotta be right. Which I sure know, you know, I go through that all the time, with friends or family and or partners, and you just gotta be like, okay, I gotta remember, it's not you against me, there's you and me, and we're against the problem. You know, and we're together, but it's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's all bad, but just take my view, just take my suggestion. Is it?
Yeah.
But because we saw that, like, against the wisdom or the advice of the Dodgers, for example, to stay indoors, Adil actually accompanied Abigail out into the open to make that phone call. So, would that be a situation whereby Adil kind of, just let go of what against his better judgment and just followed Abigail's, suggestion of going out to make that phone call home?
Yeah, that's love. Sometimes that's love. Sometimes because with a character like Abigail, she has such strong will. Like if you want to be with her, sometimes you have to follow. And in that situation, I think it's good that Adil was there, because if she had gone out on her own, she might have gotten caught or whatnot. I think Adil was being a bit cautious with looking around, what's the situation here, and then taking her away, and then being able to together be invisible. But sometimes I think that's what love does. Sometimes as much as you have boundaries and a moral code, it's like, well, I love you, and like, hey, I guess we're going.
Yes. So that answered the question. Usually, Abigail will have a way. So I think.
You're right. You went. I'm like, there's your perspective. We're going with that.
See, Adil is a good guy, true and true. Okay, so next question. Back to Sai.
Okay, so we will talk about a lot about Abigail and Adil himself. And so in season 1, most of Adil's scene was with the unit or Kalida. And season 2, finally Adil met Silla in episode 7. And season 3, there are so many group scenes on the land. So what does Adil think of Silla? Because Silla was a terrorist, and Adil is a very, very peaceful person. And also, how was working with Amalia?
Well, I think to answer the first question, I thought about that, that in that first moment when I think he first meets her when rescuing, I think, is it when
Rael?
Rael?
Yeah.
And I think, it's the first question is, well, can she be trusted? And as much as she is Rael's lover and Abigail learns to trust her, there is, I think, something always with the terrorists, you're like, I can't trust you right away. It's like, and of course everybody has their reasons, but it's, she was committed to a cause that goes against his values. So I think that there was this definitely a resistance to her, and it was never vocalized, the disagreement, but it was, I think, always like a slow building up to warming up to her. And then your second question though, working with Amalia was amazing. Her and I actually really clicked, because we're always thinking like, we're kind of both acting nerds, where we like reading books and trying things and different techniques, and so we'd always be like, we shared different sources with each other, but then also sometimes we say, what if you did this, or what if you did that, and it was great to have that sort of support from her and with her, and also she's someone who's very worldly, and we shared a lot of things around personal relationships and life things, and so we were able to we had some really nice moments it was together on and off the set, and so that I'm very, very grateful, and hope to see her again for sure.
Yeah. Any sharing with regard to politics? You were born in France. Are you still in touch with what's happening in the political scene in France? Because Amalia herself is quite active in politics. so to speak. So and she has got a degree in political science. So yes, there were like those very rare moments that she mentioned something about politics in her interviews. It's always very enlightening to hear. So I'm just wondering whether did such things come into your conversations?
No, because I don't read too much about politics, and I don't follow the world of politics much. I find it I think it's really fascinating, but it doesn't interest me to read. I'm always more interested in hearing people's perspectives, but I think that at that level, I'm always more interested for me the things at the human level, you know. Like what's going on for me and for you at a personal level. I think a lot of those political decisions, of course, affect us, but they're less immediate to me.
It could be quite depressing to reading about.
Yeah, I mean, because politics are so complex. You know, I can't imagine the decisions you have to make when you're running a country, and because people are different inherently, and we want different things, and to me, that's a world that's way too complicated.
During our, we had a chat with Mama Willa as well, Diana, who plays Willa, and because she spent quite a bit of time with Amalia in season 2, so she actually shared this interesting nugget that both of them were always up to no good during off camera during breaks, because they will always raid the cafeteria.
There was always what?
They will always raid the cafeteria for cookies, cakes, and
yeah.
Do you do that?
Of course, that's the one thing I do on set all the time. Because you have a lot of time on set. It's sometimes when they need you, and when they don't need you, it's a lot of waiting. And when you have a catering available, it's so nice. And then the thing that is, I get into a really bad cycle where I'll go and I'll have like a few sweet things, and I'll go back to my seat and then I'll eat it, and then I'll feel bad about it. I'm like, oh no, that's not good. So I should go eat something more healthy. So then I go back and I get like a veggie bag and a fruit, and I come back and I eat that, and I think, okay, I did good. Now I can go have a sweet, and so then I go and I have a sweet,
I deserve it.
and I come back and I'm like, I need something to digest, so I go back, and it's just
a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
What's your favorite sweet thing
on set?
Yeah, on set from the caterer.
Catering.
I'm a big fan of M&Ms.
Oh, they have M&Ms. Wow, they are spoiling you guys.
M&Ms to me are typically one of my go-tos for sure. I'll usually do M&Ms and a veggie bag. It feels sort of okay about my decisions.
Okay, to console yourself. Okay, that's good. Okay, so Max, your question, please.
Okay, Tony. Any funny, memorable behind the scenes moments you can share with us?
Some of the moments that I could share, with me and Kylie, who played Kalita. Actually, her and I got along great, and in between takes, I don't know when we started, but we started having rap battles. And then one of us would randomly start and be like, and then the other one would be like, yo, and we out here at Motherford Salem set trying to do da, and then we're both so bad, but it was hilarious. And then sometimes some extras or like a camera guy would look at us and be like, what are you doing?
Do you have that on tape somehow?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I'd like to see that.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Kylie's mom.
Maybe
might.
Kylie.
Oh.
Kylie's mom might have something on tape, that or like her and I dancing. Actually, and speaking of dancing, Abigail and Ashley and I, we made a choreographed dance because again, you have a lot of time on set, and at one point we just started dancing, and then we were like, oh, let's make a choreography, and so we made a choreography. I don't know if you know the song Icebox by Omarion. It goes like,
Yeah,
I got this
I know that.
icebox in my heart. And then so in
Was this
between
on TikTok?
sorry?
Well, did Ashley put it on TikTok for this one, this particular one?
Well, I'm not sure, maybe. And we actually did it. We actually performed it, and somebody filmed it the day that we had the wedding. So when I'm in the suit and she's in a dress, and then the video's got to be somewhere out there. And we did
Yeah,
gotta
gotta go search for it. Yeah, yeah.
Very
Yeah, Tony, if you can put in a word with Ashley to if this has not been posted, to post it up.
Yeah. I'll ask her if she still
Love
has that video.
Wow, we hope to
I'm
see that
sure.
video.
Yeah, I'm sure Ashley has many BTS videos in her
Yes.
phone.
Yeah.
She
She-
promised to release that, but we haven't got anything.
We're waiting. I'm waiting too, you know.
Yeah, and of course the much talked about, I think, Shakespeare impromptu thing that you did with Rolfgar and Bob. Yeah, and I went to Google that to be or not to be speech is so long. You can memorize the whole thing.
Yeah. I had memorized the whole thing. I really got into Shakespeare throughout the third season. And Bob, he teaches Shakespeare. He did a lot of Shakespearean plays, and we were sort of geeking out about it. And I don't know if you heard the story, but I think when I came back from the Christmas break, I told Bob, and we're all sit at our chairs, and I tell him, oh, you know, over the break I learned to be or not to be speech. He says, really? Just say it. And then I start saying the speech, you know, to be or not to be, that is the question, whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, you know, and a lot of people are wearing their masks, and then all of a sudden I hear like somebody else jumps in with me and starts saying the lines, and I look up and Rothgard is just there like reciting it with me. And it was this, you know, it's an incredible moment of a love for theater, you know, and Shakespeare is very poetic language, and that speech in particular, you know, it touches on something very dramatic, but also I think sometimes very human, you know, when you're going through a very difficult time, to this idea of to keep going or not. And it was a really nice moment to connect. And then Amalia too, she was blown away by that moment. She said, oh, I have to read it. And it was a very uplifting moment. It was cool.
You could have a modern take on that. Just now when you said it, it sounded like a rap. It sounded like you were rapping it.
I've done actually, I've practiced some Shakespearean speech to hip hop beats.
Oh.
Sometimes, because it's the way he writes is has a rhythm to it. And it's and you know, rap actually stands for rhythm and poetry.
I didn't know that, but yeah.
RAP, yeah. And because original rap, which was actually about from what I've learned, was actually about you know, talking about the struggles of what it's like to live in the American ghetto, and the difficulty that comes with that, and all the emotions. And then because then you have regular rap and hip hop, and then gangster rap. Then gangster rap touches more, you know, on having money, fame, success, which is also part of the culture, but it touches on something different.
Wow, this session is so educational.
Yeah.
I know what the rap means.
Get your books.
Okay. Noted.
I'm a geek on too many things. So I like to dive into sometimes when something interests me, I like to go into it and learn about it.
You know, we had a chat recently with Taylor, and she mentioned that you guys are very close, and she said that you're so funny and smart.
Oh,
So that's it.
I paid her to say that.
You paid her to say
I'm like,
that.
at all the interviews here, please tell them that I'm smart.
Oh, it was off camera, so yeah, so it's all real, authentic.
Oh, cool. She's so lovely.
Yeah. So yeah, so let's go to maybe the last question on the show question. Matt's your question.
Oh, okay. In Fort Salem season 3, you had this last scene looking at the horizon, where they became witches. All of them became witches. And has Elliot or any of the writers told you what could be next for Adil and Abigail?
Nope.
Short answer, no.
I wish I had an answer to that myself. No.
I heard that Jessica, I think Jessica mentioned in our chat. So she heard something from the writers, and she said Adil and Abigail will go to what's the international group?
The Hague.
The Hague.
Hague.
Oh, okay.
And Abigail and Adil will perform some sort of ambassadorial role.
Yeah.
Maybe Adil will represent the interests of Tarim people, maybe, to advance the interest of the remaining Tarim people. Would you foresee this kind of future for Adil?
Yeah, sure. That to go represent the Hague and go to Dancing with the Stars. Because then Abigail and Adil can do their dance. Once she decides to release the video, then you can be proof that they're ready for Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, I'm sure.
No, but yeah, but definitely, I think definitely could see them do that. I think especially in Abigail's growth as a leader. That I think before was very military leader, but I think throughout the seasons has become a leader of the people as well.
Yeah.
And I think having Adil by her side, I think they can make very perhaps educated or wise decisions onto how to navigate through a chaotic world.
Yeah, Abigail's growth, we can actually see that she has come into her own. From the start, she's been under the shadow of the legacy, right? The family legacy of Bellwether. And in season 2, we saw how distraught she was when she found out that she had got nothing to do with the witch bomb. But then, her journey was like so well paved that she came onto her own herself. And then that speech on top of that truck.
The truck.
Yeah, it was so moving. Yeah. She is obviously a leader and who's different. She set herself apart from her mom. Yeah, so it's really it's very nice to see. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Okay, that's all for the show questions. If you don't mind, I didn't. In time wise, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Because we still have other segments to share with you. One of which is the food segment. But before food, we would like to ask some non-show questions. So, Sai, your question, please.
Yeah, okay. So, as Asian fans, we are very proud of seeing Asian representation playing very significant role in Motherland Fort Salem. So I understand that you lived in London, France, and now in Canada. What does it mean for actors of Asian descent to work in such kind of industry in these places?
I think it's absolutely necessary. For me growing up in France, there was no Asians on screen. And so there was, and when you're young, you don't really think about what that means. But the media kind of represents how we see ourselves, I think. And the power that it can have to see yourself on, or to see, part of your culture your culture, or people who are like you in terms of looks or in terms of behaviors, to see that on screen, I think subconsciously it actually makes us feel like, oh, I belong in this society. And not realizing that, when I was younger and not having any sort of exposure to that, I wasn't in touch with my Asian side. And I lived in France, so I was surrounded by a lot of Caucasians, and I would come to Vancouver with my Chinese family only every second summer. And it's not only until my maybe 20s that I started understanding, oh wow, like I'm so out of touch with half of my identity. And so I think it's absolutely necessary, not just that we see Asians on screen, but that also that there is positive representation. Because it's one thing to see ourselves on screen, but if it's something that's not very nuanced, or something that's sometimes is made as a joke, then other people then are going to refer to us as that. To think, oh well, you're funny on your people are funny on screen. Yeah, I'm sure. Is it like that in your house too? So I think it's very important not to have us on screen, but also to tell stories about us. About our culture, about the way that we do things. I think to continuously, make a world more diverse and have a place in it for Asians, I think it's absolutely necessary to keep pushing for that.
Yeah, we are so proud to see the Asian representation in the show, not just as token characters, but also but as major characters. Yourself and as well as Praneeth, yeah, in the show. Yeah, thank you for the representation. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, I just got hired, thanks to them. Motherland for Salem, I think really stood for a show that was about diversity. You have so many actors from all over the world, of different color skin, different opinions, different heritage, very different personalities, but we made it work. And it was I think it's very inspiring in that sense, to have a world full of colors.
Yep. Okay, Raisha's question.
Yeah. Wait, before I go to my question, we should ask this in the beginning. Tony, how do we pronounce your name correctly?
Let me try because I'm trying.
Okay.
Huizhong. Is it?
Oh, but it's Hugh Zhang.
Hugh.
Hugh, Hiu. Hugh.
Yeah.
I think from my Hugh Zhang. I think from my, even sometimes I question like, oh, how good is my pronunciation, since I only know a little bit of Chinese. But what my grandma said is Hugh Zhang.
Do you know what it means? Because each character has got a meaning. Do you know?
Yeah, my grandma, she always says, oh, that it's that I know my country, or that I know China. Like around the meaning of the knowing where I'm from, even though I've actually have not been to China.
Okay. All right.
And your last name?
You speak Cantonese or Mandarin?
Yeah, I'm a Cantonese by dialect, and I'm Chinese by race. So yeah, I know how to speak Mandarin and Cantonese. So your grandma is from which part of China? Sorry.
Yeah, from a small village called Sunway in Guangdong.
No, I'm just trying to guess the character of your name. Have you seen how is it written?
I've seen it. I should actually, I could ask her. I could ask her to write it down again.
Could you post it once you see it?
That, or I'll send it, or that, or I'll email it to you.
It's inverted. It's inverted. So I guess if your grandma says knowing China, so it could be China 中国.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I know 中国is China. or
Yeah.
Zhongguoren.
Yeah. Or it could be 忠 also. There's this word which is loyalty, also pronounced as 忠, sounds the same as 中国's 忠, which is loyalty. So yeah, it'd be interesting when you find out from your grandma the characters. Yeah, because each one means each word has got its own meaning. Yeah.
And because the English spelling that I have on my ID is Zhong, Joong, even though like Zhong, like China is Zhongguo, rather more like the Z sound.
Yes.
So it's that's a great question actually that I'm going to explore for myself. Thank you.
Yes. I'll be watching out for your post.
Speaking of the name, the meaning of my first name, Mai, is dancing.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
And do you relate to that? Do you like it? Would you say that describes?
Not really, but I like moving my body. Like I like horseback riding or do some martial arts, but not dancing.
We got to change that next year. There is a Witch Bomb fan convention in London next year. So if you are interested to participate, it would be great to see you in London too. Taylor actually attended a London fan convention this year in August. So the same organizer is organizing one that is specifically for Motherland Fort Salem cast and fans. Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. And to date, all the Go tickets have been sold out, even without a single cast member announced. So,
oh my God, amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. So the fans are all out there hoping to meet with the amazing cast.
Adil.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
So hopefully you'll say yes, Tony.
Yeah, I love London. I love London. I lived there a few times. I have great friends, great city. So
expensive too. Yeah. Okay.
That's why I have friends to stay with.
Yeah.
You know.
Good strategy, Tony. And now I have friends there as well, Sai and Raisha. You know what to do when I visit. Okay. All right. So Raisha's question.
Okay, back to my actual question.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know that your mom is Chinese, but I'm not sure if you know about this stereotype of Asian parents that they would one day their children to be like doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant, or anything but in the entertainment industry. Did you face the same expectation from your family?
Well, my mom actually, and because she had always told me about how hard it was for her to grow up with that expectation. And she had 3 brothers, and so like all of them faced that constant pressure to be a high profile job. And so she actually decided to do the opposite. She said, "Oh, I'm going to give my children, so my brother and I, a lot of freedom in terms of whatever it is they want to do, and whatever I will try and support whatever decisions they make." And so in that sense, I think I've always had an incredible amount of support from her. Because I started dancing in my mid-teens, around maybe 16, and she would still come to every show, be a very big supporter for that. And when I didn't work, she'd help pay for some of the fees. And then I started dancing professionally, in my early 20s, and I think I also finished my bachelor's education, and I think I could sense, to her it was important that I finished that. And I wanted that for myself as well, which I think is something smart in the world that we live today. But I think she's never put that type of pressure, at least verbally, explicitly. And so I think it gave me that freedom to make decisions for myself in terms of, to realize, I still want to have an education in the academics, but I love dance and I love acting. And so it's been interesting to figure out constantly which way I want to go. But I think you know, I know what it is, that pressure, because my grandma is still traditional in terms of her thinking, and so was my grandpa, and it took them a really long time to understand or accept what it was for me to be an artist. You know, and for them to understand, oh, you can make a living off of that. But my grandparents actually played Chinese opera.
Ooh.
They were played in the Chinese opera community, so I think they always had, you know, they're in touch with the artistic side. But that's, I think that's an interesting pressure, because I think I always understand from an immigrant's perspective, you know, to want your children to be wealthy and comfortable financially. So hopefully I can do that with the arts, you know, so that my mom doesn't have to worry, and my grandma.
Yeah. But what would your personal definition of success and happiness be?
Very heavy question. Very
Good question.
Sorry.
No, you know, I think it's changed so much over my life.
Yep.
But I mean, I think first, to answer happiness, I think happiness actually, it's so hard, and I ask myself these questions a lot, and I like to read about psychology and philosophy. And I think something that resonates with me right now, I think happiness actually comes as a result of doing things that you like. You know, that it's not about, oh, let me do this so I can be happy. It's actually, I think when I realize when I'm focusing on something that I like doing, or spend time with someone, then I'm like, oh wow, I'm happy doing that. So I'd say happiness to me is, you know, filling your life with things that bring you joy, activities that you like. But then success, I would say that it's a definition that you have to have, or it's actually a constant conversation to have with yourself, and knowing how much the successes that are on the outside, how much those matter to you versus the internal successes, because I think both actually matter. Sometimes we talk too much now about, oh, but success should be your own version, blah blah blah. But I still agree on, well, no, because sometimes if I, you know, for me, even as an actor, if one day I was to get, you know, an Oscar, it's still a success on the outside, you know, and it still feels good to have, because it still means recognition from my peers, from the people around me. But I think what's important for me is to constantly figure out, oh, externally and internally, are they aligned? Say true success is an alignment of yourself, inside and outside, to know what to search for. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, and I think it constantly changes as you grow up, grow older. And there is also that part of the success that would possibly settle the minds of your family members, like what you said, right? Like hopefully you can show your parents and grandparents that you are okay, that you can earn a living in the entertainment industry and so on. So I think there's so many things at play that might decide what success and happiness is. But very much for Singapore, definitely that the Chinese moms especially has earned this unenviable name of tiger moms. Yeah, because education is seen to be like so important, right? The key to success and so on. So that, like, you know, the best business to get into in Singapore is to open a tuition center, or basically an enrichment center, because there will definitely, all the parents will be, you know, sending their kids for lessons, extra lessons, just so that the children could excel in their studies. Yeah, so there's a lot of pressure So it's not easy actually. So hopefully the future Asian moms will be more enlightened, like your mom. That I will see a future in our our next generation.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows on the inside how much anxiety she had with that, but on the outside, she always showed support, and so I'm very, 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 very happy and grateful to have that.
Great. Okay. So, do we still have time for? I'm hearing some interference. Where is it coming from,
Yeah.
actually?
Right.
Because we are recording this. So there's some.
Is there a
here's
TV
some-
on?
What is that you?
There's some voice.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no TV here. I mean,
Can you
TV
individually
set.
mute your? Okay. Now I don't hear, so it's from one of you actually. Okay,
Can
so
you
I think
hear
it's
it now?
Matt's.
I
Yeah.
think it might be
Yeah,
Matt's.
it's
Yeah,
Matt.
Matt's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
let me
you.
check.
Yeah, it's yours, Matt.
Mute yourself first. Yeah. Okay. She'll check.
Okay.
But mute yourself.
Okay.
I'll mute her. I'm the host.
Oh,
Okay, we will cut off this part. Okay, so yes. Anyway, I'll go on to, oh yeah, just a little bit about what I just said, because in the Chinese culture, traditional thinking is that there's this saying called 光宗耀祖. It's like the descendants, the children, are supposed to bring honor to the family and the ancestors. So by what they become or what they do, yeah, and I think there's a lot of projection going on. I don't know. Yeah, it's like the parents will also see it as how the children will become is a reflection on their how they brought up the children.
Of course.
Yeah, so there's a lot of projection going on, which puts pressure on the kids.
Of course, and I think it's that's where it's so difficult, to always figure out, where does my individual identity come in to the bigger picture? The bigger picture maybe being my relationship with my parents and my family, or my community, or the world. And
Yeah.
I think that's why with success, it's always so good to ask yourself those questions. What is my success? What is my version of that? Regardless of what my mother thinks, even though it's still important to me, that is a version of it that's external.
Yeah.
But I think having those two come together, because I think unfortunately with what's going on with society right now, at least in North America, there's a lot of people, the younger generation, that's stepping away from the traditional way of doing and being, where you have a lot of people talk about there's a lot of entitlement now with the newer generation. And I personally think it's still very important to honor where we come from. And that's our parents, that's our elders, and they've brought the way to us. And that will change, I think, and then as things change, some things aren't useful anymore, but I think we're like a tree altogether, and sometimes you have to let the dead leaves fall for new ones to grow, but it's important to honor that our roots are from there.
Yeah.
But to find our own individuality in that's where those difficult questions sometimes come in. Yeah.
We are getting so deep. I'm really enjoying this session. Yeah, we talked about identity just now. So you are such a multi-talented artist. We know that you started as a dancer and has worked with big names like Rihanna, Pitbull. You were involved in some way in London Olympics as well, 2012. You see, I've done my research by Googling. You are also a choreographer and has a master's degree in acting. You are an actor yourself, and more recently written and directed the award-winning 5-part docuseries My Name Is. So I'm just wondering what inspired you to go behind the lenses, and how much do you see your own experiences in the stories told in the docuseries?
Well, I think even when I was a dancer, sometimes I would hear music and always thought visually. I'd always think like, oh, what could be cool to this music and what kind of moves or what kind of videos could I make? And so that's where it started in terms of the filmmaking or video making. Um, and then when it came to, that documentary, I didn't necessarily think about going into a documentary, but I heard a story that really touched me to hear that somebody changed their name officially, legally in their teens because they had been picked on so much. I thought it was really interesting. And I got to say, that's a very good question to say, oh, how would some of my experiences have shown in the film? And I would hope actually that what shows in the film is hopefully more focused on the individuals, the as much as I'm aware it's my lens, but I think what experience has taught me is that a lot of times if to listen and absorb and try and be open to someone is where you get to have like a real exchange or where there's real joy. And then if it's mutual, then there's there's no limits. But I think to be open and receptive to others, that's definitely an experience that I like to try and have, and I hope that the documentary portrayed as well.
But did you share some of the experiences of those who were interviewed or featured in the docuseries? Like, I know that you possibly use Tony Giroux as your name, right? But recently I saw in Instagram that you used your Chinese name. So do you relate to any part of the stories that were told in the docuseries?
Oh, then that's what you mean for the question. How did my
Yes.
own experiences? Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Earlier we talked about how I don't think I was very in touch with my Chinese identity or Chinese part of my, of my identity. And, growing up, I remember when I first moved to Canada, I was 14 and I was to go into grade 10. And the options for going to which school weren't decided. And I remember my uncle, who actually was a school teacher, he said, oh, you should go to this school. But then my brother and I heard that it was a school that had 80% Chinese students. And my brother and I said, oh no, we don't want to go to that school. And there was there's such a strong judgment of people of the culture that I was from. And I think subconsciously there was lots of parts of myself that I was denying, or suppressing. I think I understood on the surface, well, yeah, I'm Chinese, my grandparents are Chinese, but I never really dove into what that meant. And during the pandemic, I lost my grandfather, my Chinese grandfather.
So sorry.
Oh, thank you. And it was related to cancer, not to COVID. But then through grief too, I think it really asks you to look at their entire lives and where they're from. And I think that also was a big opener to, oh wow, that's the legacy that was before me. He was an individual born in the 30s in China, which was a very difficult environment, and then decided to have a better life for him and his family, and moved to Vancouver in 1951. And so you start looking at those pieces and you realize, oh man, that's whether it's conscious or subconsciously, it's part of me. And so it started made me think about my name and how much of that there is. And my Chinese name was given to me by my grandparents. And it's funny because my mom actually wanted a name that was more international. And Tony, it's like in all the different cultures, there's an understanding for that. It says, oh yeah, I know that name. And I think that's very much was part of my identity for a long time around, I feel like can blend in everywhere I go. But because of that too, the flip side of that is that I don't feel like I really belong anywhere. And so I feel like in last few years of trying to reclaim some of my identity, that of which is my Chinese identity, now I feel like there's more nuances. There's the part that, okay, I can be with everyone in terms of, oh yeah, Tony, I can try and relate to everybody, but then there's also parts of me that are very unique, you know, like my Chinese name being like Hu Zhang, or my last name being Giroux, and those different parts of my identity are within my name. And now I'm starting to wear it more with pride compared to before. It was just letters on a passport. And I think, yeah, the process, I don't think I even realized it, but then going through those stories when I was making the film, you know, it still touches me to the heart, you know, hearing the stories of these individuals. And I think it's because it touches on things that I relate to as well, you know, these ideas of not belonging or not understanding who I am, or being okay with being what somebody thinks you should be, as opposed to being who you feel you are. So that's why, yeah, each episode has a special place in my heart.
Actually, thank you so much for sharing, because I thought your story makes a very good story as well. Any chance of like maybe like writing a story based on like your experience?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about
reckoning, you fighting,
I'm thinking of writing maybe a short film, and that maybe that's kind of fiction, but inspired by my experience with this idea of what it's like to be of different cultures and to try and make sense of that. And I think there's a lot of people now go through that. Even, you know, if you're a Chinese Canadian, what does that mean to have those two cultures? And I think for me, it's more evident in that my dad was French and my mom was Chinese, and then, you know, I spent some time in France and Canada. But I think our identities now are more nuanced than they used to be. Like where I grew up, you know, I was surrounded by white people who were French and were raised in France, and their families come from France. So I think your identity is very rooted in the land and the people that came before you. But now that things are changing so much, that we're moving around a lot, you know, where does our sense of being grounded come from?
Yeah.
And I think it's very complex and asks for certain questions within ourselves to say, oh, where is it that I feel I belong?
I can already imagine the opening scene, like the main actor will enter the room of the grandfather who has just passed away, and then he's going through his things, and then that make him realize, like, you know, trying to know that he didn't really know about his grandfather and his culture. Yeah. How's that for our opening scene? Okay.
No, I think that's a really good, because then it's a beautiful way to dive into it, because also I think grief is something that we all relate to, whether we've experienced it yet or not. It's something that's part of life.
Yeah, in fact, coincidentally, my mom passed away during the of cancer as well, during the pandemic period, in 2020. Yeah, so Motherland Fort Salem actually helped a lot in my grieving process. So yeah, that's why, yeah, my heart will always remain with this show and the cast as well. Yeah, maybe just the last question, because we have taken a lot of Tony's time already, and it's almost time for him to go for his dinner, I think. Maybe Sai's question, please, Sai.
Okay, yeah. So in the Q&A video you did with Asian Ma 2 years ago, you mentioned that you'd like to backpack in Japan after the pandemic. Have you managed to visit Japan?
Not yet. I've actually before the pandemic, I think in 2017, I went to Tokyo. But then I was just actually talking with a friend of mine from London, and we want to go backpacking in Japan. And originally we were talking about maybe January, but I don't know because I hear it's quite cold, and like I'd love to see the
Yes.
countryside too. But yes, I that's something that I want to do very soon. I ended up doing more trips recently in Europe. I did some backpacking. I did some backpacking in Portugal, and I did some in Spain. But Japan is coming. It's on the list.
Yay. My
Tony-
parents have a space, so you can stay.
Oh, cool.
You got a friend. You got a friend
Yes.
in Japan.
Yeah. What part of Japan are you from?
Tokyo.
Okay.
I'm from Chiba, next to Tokyo, but my parents is living in Tokyo right now. It's a
Okay.
very, very center Tokyo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tony, add the other Asian countries into
Yeah,
your list.
yes.
You would have taken more than 12-hour flight anyway. So you
Yeah.
just travel around Asia.
Yeah,
You have so many
Singapore,
fans.
Indonesia, Philippines.
Yeah, you have so many fans in all parts of Asia. Just give us a call. You've got
Okay, yeah, no, I
fans
will.
here.
Even we're checking out the different places to eat in Singapore. I heard amazing things. And we can save each other tables. Now that I know, I'll bring the
Yes.
tissue bag. Like, no, this
Tissue
one's for
packs.
Alicia. This one's for Alicia.
Tissue packs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we hope to play host to you when you do
Oh, thank
visit
you.
Asia. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we will move on to our next segment, which is show and tell. We would like to show and tell some of our favorite local snack or food
Yeah.
to you. Yeah. So shall we start with Sai first? Sai?
Oh, okay.
Let's go.
So I want to show this one.
It's a cooking show.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called eiga, or simply called eiga in English,
Okay.
and kanten in Japanese. So it's made from seaweed, so plant-based thing. And so one of the Japanese men accidentally found this product about 350 years ago, and since then it's been used for so many Japanese sweets. And actually you can make this kind of jelly from the kanten. See? It's very, very transparent, like
Yeah.
one of Adil's magic.
Yeah.
And about 100 years ago, another Japanese man got an idea to make another Japanese sweet, another sweet combining Japanese and Western style.
Okay.
So he made this kind of sweets.
Oh,
So
wow.
he put kanten jelly here, and red sweet bean paste, and rice cakes, and put some other fruits like strawberry, orange, kiwi, and put some brown sugar syrup on it. And also you can put vanilla ice cream on it. It's very, very popular, one of very, very popular Japanese sweets. It's very tasty. So when you come to Japan, please try this.
What's it called?
It's called anmitsu.
Can you put it in the chat? Because then I want to write it
Yeah,
down to
yeah,
see where I can find
sorry.
maybe.
I'd love to, but unfortunately, I'm recording this screen, so I cannot type chat right now. But I will send a message on Twitter on your account later.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
So that you can see the name.
Yeah, so yeah, send me because the one is called Utgen. Oh no, what's the
the agar-agar in the original
yeah.
form.
Okay, it's
What
called
is it called?
kanten.
Oh, kanten.
Kanten.
Content.
Yes.
Yeah, kanten, and then yeah, send me about the dessert. I'd love to
Yeah.
see if I can find it in
With
Vancouver.
with
and
the
if not-
picture so that you can remind the sweets.
It's kind of look like halo halo, right?
Yeah. Halo
It
halo.
looks like halo halo from Philippines.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Singular.
Okay. I'm
So
gonna pass the
it's
one
got
to
it's got everything. It's got savory and it's got sweet. So you don't have to run several times to get.
Mm.
It's just like what you did for with the caterer. So everything is in the same.
Yes, yes.
Smart.
Oh,
Indeed.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
very
Okay.
tasty.
Okay. So
Okay.
Raisha.
Yeah.
next.
Oh, okay, that's my turn. Okay, mine is like this one. Let me see it. Okay, this is like a chicken noodle, literally. It's called mi ayam. So it got noodles,
Mhm.
a minced chicken meat, and then any kind of grains that you want. So this is usually a street food, and it's usually like a sold in cart, and the seller will go around some neighborhood, or they're also sold in a small restaurant, some kind of like it. And then there are two types: the sweet and the salty one. This one that I made is the sweet one. It's
Okay.
just the salty one, but you add sweet soy sauce in.
Okay.
Very
Ayam.
Chinese influence, yeah.
Yeah, ayam is chicken in
Chicken.
Bahasa Indonesia. Yeah, so it's chicken
Just
noodles
like
basically.
very literal, yeah, literal
Yeah.
meaning. Chicken
Okay.
noodle.
Hmm. Okay. Max now.
Okay, my turn. So this is called bibingka.
Lift up a bit.
Okay, okay. Can you see
Yes.
it now?
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
bibingka.
Yeah.
This is made of glutinous rice. So on top of it is salted egg, cheese, and coconut.
Mm.
So
Mm.
this is usually served during Christmas season and eaten as a breakfast or snack. It depends on you. So right now, will be my breakfast after this.
Oh yeah. It's early morning.
But it's
Yeah.
got a clash of flavors, right? It's like what, coconut milk
Yeah,
and
sweet.
what?
Yeah. No, it's not just coconut.
Savory?
Yes.
It's
There is
coconut,
savory,
shredded coconut.
yes, and salted egg. And it's a rice cake.
Mm.
Yeah.
Have you
Salted
tasted
egg
salted
is-
egg before, Tony? Have you tasted salted egg before?
I think I might have. I can't remember.
It's good with porridge, congee, congee. Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh, wait,
Cantonese
is the salted egg the
dark egg.
dark egg?
Dark
Oh yeah,
egg.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I have that all the time. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
it's nice.
Mhm.
Okay, so my turn. Last. So I'm gonna show. Let me just see. Okay, so these are baked goods,
Yeah.
pastries. So these come from
All this food.
the Teochew province. You know Teochew province. So in Teochew it's called Tau Sa Pia, which is a bean paste pastry cookie. Yeah, so it's really crisp. It's really nice, but I want to show you what's inside though. So those with the sesame seed on top is sweet paste inside, lotus paste. So it's sweet. Those without is salty. So it's a red bean paste inside. So it's got different flavors. So I'm just going to cut open to just
Be
show
careful
it.
with the knife, Alicia.
Yeah, that's a big knife.
You
Glass
always
knife.
use a big knife.
Yeah, so I don't know whether you can see it. So the paste is inside, and it's really nice with a very
That's the sweet
soft.
one, right?
That's the sweet one, but it looks the same from, I think, from where
Right.
you see it. Yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
you will see that the paste for the saltish one is yeah, it's not so.
Yeah.
It's a different color.
Translucent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have lots of these because we have like Singapore's population is mainly from migrants, made up of migrants from neighboring countries. So we have four major ethnic groups in Singapore. So we have the Chinese, we have the Malays, Indians, and the Eurasians. So so along with it, we enjoy very rich food, the food culture, as well as yeah, basically we celebrate each other's festivals as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Very nice.
yeah. So that's our show and tell. Hopefully that will entice you, give you one more reason to visit all of us for the
Yeah.
food.
No, definitely. I was wondering, yeah, is there a way that I could get like all of those snacks written?
Yeah,
Or maybe I can write them down right now. I have a pen and paper.
I could actually DM you because you did accept my DM for Instagram. You might not realize. Yeah, so I will send I will collate everybody's and send it to you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Maybe it's easier. Yeah. And we could even send you a package of some of these. If
Oh
you
my
want.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
We did a food tasting session with S and Alan
Yes. I
last
remember.
year November.
They
So
told
we
me about it.
we sent them a package of a sampling of some of our Asian snacks.
Yeah.
We can send that to you too. I mean, you could give us a mailing address that is convenient, and then we can send it.
I would love to. Yeah, that'd be delightful.
Yeah, I would be surprised that you can't find some of these things in Vancouver. Yeah, so yeah, it will be our pleasure to send some of our local snacks to you.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, great. So this leads us to the last segment. I hope we are not encroaching on your dinner time.
No. Let's do it.
Let's do it. It's our game segment. We would like to introduce to you some of our local slangs. So Raisha,
Okay.
over to you. Yes.
Do it. Okay.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna share a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
So okay. So we're gonna play a game, and this is called Learn Our Local Slang. And this is how we're gonna do it. First, we will show you slang words from each of our countries.
Yeah.
And then we will give you the example of that word in a sentence.
Okay.
And then you have to try to say the words and guess the meaning of those words.
Okay.
And finally at the end.
No. Let's not preempt him first. No,
all right.
Yes.
The first one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's go Syria first. Okay.
Tony, are you ready?
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's go.
We'll have a surprise of this. Okay, first one is from Indonesia, so it's fine. The word is sotoy. And the example in a sentence like this: don't be sotoy like that. They know better. They've been here all their life, and you are new here.
Tony, can you attempt to pronounce the word?
Don't be so toy like that. They know better.
So what do you think it is?
What do you think?
I think it means open-minded. Don't be so open-minded like that. They know. No, I know the opposite. I think maybe it's something to do with being judgmental or closed off. They know better. They've been here all their life.
Actually, quite close, huh?
Close.
Very close.
So it's like when you are telling somebody off. Yeah, you are quite close actually.
Yeah,
so be like rude.
Could be.
Yeah, it's more a negative.
Yeah, rude is negative.
Rude is a bit negative.
Rude is negative, yeah.
A bit negative.
But like mean, they've been here all their life. Like inconsiderate.
Okay, the very good clue would be they know better. So don't don't pretend to be,
Oh, to know.
because
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they know better. So don't try to be
Consider-
Oh,
That's okay.
alright, don't be so toy like that.
okay,
Foolish?
sorry?
Foolish?
That's your best guess?
No, that's not, because foolish isn't that negative, don't be.
Yeah.
It's
Don't be
very opposite of foolish.
Oh, arrogant?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite close
Yeah. Yeah.
actually.
Quite close. Quite close. So.
Raisha,
Yes.
maybe give the answer? You
Smart
want to
ass.
give the answer?
Smart ass.
Oh, smartass,
It means
yeah.
smart ass. Yeah.
Don't be
Oh,
a
yeah,
smart
yeah, yeah.
ass like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like a know-it-all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you were actually very close.
Very
yeah,
close.
with all your guesses. Okay. All right.
Okay, the
Next.
next one is from the Philippines. So, Mats, go for it.
Okay, the word is makulit. So if you use it in a sentence like stop being makulit, someone will be annoyed with you, or I will be annoyed with you.
Immaculate.
So,
Stop
makulit.
being immaculate. Stop being, someone being annoyed with you. Maybe loud? Stop being so loud or obnoxious?
Yeah,
Can be obnoxious.
can be
Will
obnoxious.
be
Yeah,
annoyed with
Mm.
you.
it's close. It's close.
Oh,
It's
man.
close.
What else would annoy people? Rude.
like-
It could also be rude. Stop being immaculate.
I wonder whether the cast
Oh,
does
I
this
know.
in their free time to each other.
I
Okay.
think they do.
Well, when you're like, when you're teasing or making fun.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Or
actually,
stop
that's
being so proud.
Okay, so the teasing and all that is the action, right?
Teasing,
So
yeah.
how would you
Mhm.
describe somebody who does that? Who does pranks and teasing? How do you describe the person who usually does that?
Like a troublemaker.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Somebody
Okay, quite
who-
close actually.
Yeah.
Matt's the
Yeah.
actual answer?
The word in English is mischievous.
Oh, mischievous.
Mischievous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So next.
Next one is from Japan.
Okay, so the word is chichomen. Could you try to pronounce the word?
Kichomen.
Oh, very
Kichomen.
good.
Kitchen.
Thank you. And the sentence is like that. Who parked the car outside? A professional driver? Mary did. She's kichomen, isn't she?
Oh, it sounds like, I mean, something a bit more positive.
Yes,
Like,
very positive.
is amazing or very skilled.
Very close.
What kind of professional driver
Wait.
married?
You want to-
She is
When you
talented.
ask-
Talented.
Yes, yeah, it's very, very close. So when you ask someone like, could you fill up the glass halfway? And the person uses a measurement cup to do so.
Oh, okay, yeah. She's very what's the word for being detail oriented?
Yeah.
Or very meticulous?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, meticulous.
Yeah, meticulous or precise, punctual,
Precise.
well organized, tidy. Very good.
Actually, that describes Sai, actually. We
Yeah.
all know that describes Sai.
That's
She's
Oh,
all there.
good. That's good. You need that.
Yeah.
You need
Chom.
that.
Okay. So
okay.
I think the
Very
last one
good.
is mine.
And the last one is Singlish.
So it's Singapore English because
Okay.
Singapore has got so many different races, right? So we have and we come with our own languages. So we actually formulated our own style of English, which we call Singlish. So the key here is to be concise and concise. Okay, so you see my sentence is the shortest. So the lecture was so chim that there was absolute silence from the students. So the word is chim.
Chim.
What do you think?
I'd say something positive again, like maybe fascinating, engaging.
Yeah. It is actually a dialect word for deep. Deep.
For what?
Deep. Deep. D-E-E-P. Deep.
Oh, deep. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's basically a word to describe. It's very intellectual, profound, complex. Yeah.
Profound.
So
Yeah.
just like our conversation so far has been so chim.
So cheap.
We describe that. Yeah. Okay. So now,
Okay,
in
now,
order to test your understanding of what we have just shared with you, this is the next segment, Raisha.
Yeah. So, to test your understanding, we want to ask you, who amongst the Motherland cast is these 4 words?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, Amalia is very Kichoman. Oh.
Oh.
Like no, you know, it's like very. I think precise. I could see.
In her craft, in her interpretation of the scene, or
I'd say both. 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 So
Mm.
in life, to me, I interpreted her as having, you know, very precise with what she, how she did things, and it was neat.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Lean Renee. It was very chim.
Oh,
General. Yes.
And I think her and I had like a very special connection because of that. I think there was, great. We've had great soulful conversations and great understanding. So Toy was smart ass.
In an affectionate way.
Yeah.
Don't think of it as a negative.
Not as a negative.
Yeah. Actually, some of the cast might call me a smart ass sometimes. I think I would like cause a lot of trouble, or I like to be playful. But that, or I think I'm trying to think if Ashley was in some ways playfully teasing, or I'd say Ashley and myself maybe are the most toy.
Okay.
Okay.
And
the last one now.
What was this? Immaculate. It was. I'm trying to remember. Immaculate was. It was Mads, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what was the sentence again?
Meaning is mischievous. Mischievous.
Oh, mischievous.
It's like sometimes it get into trouble.
I'd say the duo of Praneet and I. Like every scene him and I put together, like we could not stay serious. It was like we would drive the directors crazy because I don't know what it was, and you know, we're the 2 guys in the background, and just in some scenes we just look at each other and just start laughing or doing like our own, because sometimes we'd be, you know, in the background of the scene, and so we'd say, well, you know what, let's improv our own moment here with what's happening, and you know, we'd have these entire like scenes with backstories, and then we'd act around, like pick something up, and we're like, this is what's needed for that, and this, and associate the others, and And a lot of times you're doing that and you can't stop laughing. So even if there was the camera, like where there we'd be like acting, and then we'd have to like turn around to like laugh.
Voice.
You had your Adorio moment when standing in the background.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely lots of those.
I got to rewatch the show again to watch out for these.
Yeah.
Okay, you did very well, Tony. Yeah.
Okay. No, very
well.
neat. I love to learn about these different words. It's very interesting.
I'll send these to you as well,
Yes,
along
please.
with the food names and pictures.
Please.
Yeah, and that ends our session. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us, and it's almost 2 hours already. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
making time on your Saturday afternoon with us.
Oh, thank you, and I love the format is really refreshing and beautiful. We talk about the show, but also hearing about discovering your own cultures, through food, through words is nothing like I've experienced before. So it's very neat and makes me want to try these foods and learn more about the languages. So
And
thank
come to Asia and visit Asia.
you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe as a parting shot, Tony, would you have any message for the Asian fans who are all proud of you and Pranit, and thankful for the representation that you bring to the show? No pressure there, but okay.
Yeah. I think. I would say, let's believe in ourselves and keep working together to make a world where we belong as well.
That's
Definitely.
beautiful.
Thank you. But maybe last question, Tony, what's next for you? Because we would love to support whatever you do.
Oh, thank you. Well, right now I'm with the documentary. I am actually, it's getting brought into different spaces, and so it's a matter of promoting that and having lots of conversations around what the show means, but then also promoting it and meeting different people, different institutions. And then in terms of acting, it's back to looking for the next project, acting or auditioning, and so with that we'll see. It's a bit more unpredictable. But right now, a lot of the focus is with the film, with the documentary, and engaging in different spaces and conversations where we feel that can have an impact.
Just let us know through your social media, and we will help to amplify your projects.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much.
We have pledged as Motherland for Salem fans, because the cast has been so amazing. We have pledged to actually support the cast in every universe. Whatever you do. Thank you so much, Tony, and
thank you.
have a great weekend ahead.
Yeah, have a great weekend, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to catch up with you again, maybe for your next project.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Take
Okay.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.